Down. All right, everyone. The internet was down at the house. Had to do a lot. Well, now I got the camera moving back and forward because I got to do this. See, this is one of these fancy cameras that you can do everything you track with your hands. What's up, Rob? What's up, Zach? What's up, everyone?
What's going on? What's going on?
Well, let me tell you what's going on. The internet's not working. Saquon Barkley doesn't have a contract. There's talk already about some issues, maybe potentially in the Giant locker room, in reference to Saquon Barkley. And we're just going to jump into it. We got the draft coming up. We got mock drafts coming up. We got a lot of stuff going on here, Rob.
We do.
I mean, it's one of those days. And Rob puts on a Giants hat, which is very, very becoming of him to do that. We got Jeff in the room. We got everything going on. The big question is, and I'm going to ask you this right off the bat, because you know what? I'm sick. I'm in one of those moods. So no one fucking pissed me off. What do you think about everything going on right now? With Saquon Barkley? What is your thought process right now with the contract? What Joe Shane is potentially trying to accomplish? There's rumors that he's happy with Saquon just playing out the tag, and he has no indication of or thought process of even extending him in any way outside of 2023.
So I think there's a multitude of things happening with the situation. And one, I think it's a combination of both the Giants, and when I say Giants, I mean Joe Shane, Brian Daboll's plan originally not going the way they thought it was going to go. I also think it's a part of Saquon Barkley and his representation thinking it was going to go a certain type of way or be a certain type of way, and it's not. And now you have things that took place, and it almost kind of seems like Saquon Barkley is getting the tough treatment versus other players that have gotten paid, i.e. Daniel Jones. So I think when Joe Shane and Brian Daboll came in this past season, they said that what they wanted to do was reevaluate the roster, figure out where the roster was, what they had, and where they were going to attack this year that we're in right now, this offseason. And what ended up happening was it was a weak conference. Teams got injured, and they ended up winning 9 games, going to the playoffs, win a playoff game, and the rest is history. At that point, it kind of put them at a position where, well, we really can't do what we wanted to do, and we like this kid, so I guess, we'll give it another shot, because we kind of have to at this point. And obviously, if you're going to extend one or the other, you extend the quarterback, not the running back. The quarterback is the most important position on the field and in football. So they went ahead and they did that, which allowed them to tag Barkley. I said
before we get into that, the tag number for Barkley is 10.1.
Correct.
Right? Okay. Christian McCaffrey, $16 million. Alvin Kamara, $15 million. Ezekiel Elliott, even though he got waived, was going to be at $15 million. Mm-hmm. You have Dalvin Cook, 12.6, Derrick Henry, 12.5, Nick Chubb, 12.2, Aaron Jones, 12 million, Joe Mixon, 12 million. So we are saying as a Giant organization, even though Barkley, in all indications, was the catalyst for this offense, that he is not worth a top 7 or a top 8 salary in reference to running backs for the New York Giants.
Yeah, and I think Shane alluded to that at the meetings in Arizona.
That's what I was getting at.
Because he said, I think it was Pat Leonard, somebody asked him, did the market influence your decision on how you're handling it? And he said out no, and I think he's full of shit. Like, I think Joe Shane is absolutely 100% full of shit. And he said, well, at the $10 million, the guy said he's not even, he said he's higher than that. He's like top 7 or something like that or whatever in the league. And you just named 6 guys that are getting paid more than what he's getting paid already. You named Chubb, you named Calvin.
8 guys.
8 guys. And that's not including McCaffrey. That's not including Ezekiel Elliott. That's not, that's not including those guys either. So at this particular point in time, the way I'm looking at it is you got him making $10 million. He's not worth $13 million. He's not worth more to you than a Dalvin Cook who's making 12. He's not worth the same amount as what a Bradley Chubb is in Cleveland. And I get it. He's 26. He's a running back. I get it. I'll sum it up with this. I think what they're going to do is they are going to try to push for this offense to be through Daniel Jones next season. That's what they're going to do, which it should be through the quarterback. Well, and it's going to go one of 2 ways. It's either going to work and Barkley may get traded mid-season, or, hey, we found our quarterback. We don't really need to invest in the running back. We can plug somebody in. The quarterback knows what he's doing. We're going to let him do what he's got to do. Or B, it's going to fail badly, and Jones is going to struggle. Barkley is going to be carrying the team like he's been, and now Barkley has all the balls back in his court, and you are stuck having to either A, pay him, and B, you paid, and B, now you paid a quarterback that at this particular point is carrying Saquon Barkley's bags at $45 million next year. That's what it's going to end up happening.
Now, the reason I was getting to this, and we got to get acknowledged, the two Brad saying it's okay, we can start now. Tim, I'm here. Tim, people, hit the like button, or your kids will be Eagle fans. Also want to give a big shout out to the Knickerbockers for taking that big win in Cleveland. Massive props to Josh Hart. I have to wear or continue to wear my Mark Jackson jersey because I'm not a little stitious. I'm very stitious. But here's the thing I was kind of getting to. Skip Bayless, and everyone hates Skip. All Giant fans hate Skip Bayless because he talks about the money.
He's an idiot.
But he actually says some things that at times make sense, but Giant fans don't want to hear it. And he said that basically what Joe Shane did, and I have to agree with this, he overpaid for an average quarterback. So now when you have guys that are above average that are coming up for salary demands, they are potentially going to be more apprehensive of giving the Giants a home team discount because you gave a guy who had one average season, if you look at the term of the contract, $40 million a year, even though it's not really that. But if you look at the full reality of the contract, and you have Dexter Lawrence coming up.
Dexter Lawrence.
Yep. You got Dexter Lawrence.
You know exactly. And you know what's funny, Tim? I don't mean to cut you off, but you know what's funny? People tell me all the time, I'm like,
okay, first of all, you don't cut me off. Bad mistake. Bad mistake.
Sorry.
You don't cut the king off, baby.
Sorry about that, man.
But go ahead. Well, you were saying.
No, what I was saying was like I was talking with people this week on Twitter about it because that whole Mike Lombardi video came out where he posted, which I agree with what he's saying. Then people were like, oh, well, he said, no, you're not going to pay Dexter Lawrence. No, he wasn't saying you're not going to pay Dexter, but it's like, oh, you're going to be kind of stingy with Dexter, this, that, and the third. Supposedly they offered him a top 5 contract, and he said no. That was like $22 million. He turned them down. He said no, but it's exactly what you just said. It's like Dexter sitting here thinking, well, you overpaid this guy that's 18th, ranked 18th in his field. Field,
and I'm probably top 5.
And you overpaid him, and you want to pay me like I'm the 5th or 6th best defensive lineman, and I'm not that. Like I'm top 2, top 3 at my position, but you want to try to pay me like I'm below where I feel like I'm ranked, but you overpaid somebody else where they were ranked. And people could say market this, that, and the third or whatever, but it's like, that's what it is. And then they said, oh, well, he's FaceTiming with Dabes. Okay, what does that mean? Like he's FaceTiming him.
Wasn't OBJ FaceTiming with Dabes?
Yeah, like it's like what I'm like I tell people like I'm like, bro, I was like, what the fuck does that mean? Like, okay, yeah, like you're FaceTime with them. That doesn't mean they're not friends. Like that doesn't mean they don't talk. I mean, what the hell? Like I swear, man, people make me laugh.
People are crazy. And just remember this, Rob.
Hail to the king, baby.
Just make sure you get that right all the time.
You got to get more from the 3,000 Miles to Graceland. You ever seen that movie?
Of course, I've seen that movie. It's an Elvis movie.
My God.
It's got
Love
Kurt
that
Russell
movie.
in it. It's got Kevin Costner in it. It's
Yep,
got Christian
love that movie.
Slater. It's
Love that movie.
One of my favorite lines of that entire movie is we're like the Osmonds. We just don't fucking get along.
Yeah. Shoots him in the freaking leg. He who has the gold makes the rules.
But now you got me confused.
Sorry.
Now you got me thinking of Kurt Russell.
You're gonna go watch that movie later today, probably.
No, I'll probably go watch Escape from New York.
I've never seen that movie.
You never seen Escape New York with Kurt Russell?
Mm-mm.
With Snake Plissken? Blasphemy.
No.
The Zach Attack coming to Super Chat said the Giants paid Jones to mess with the Hurts contract. I don't think they did that, but I think that is going to help us in reference to the Hurts contract because Hurts is standing a little bit up far and above Daniel Jones in reference to what he's done so far in the league. But my thing is this. I mean, did Shane really, and we're going to talk about the draft. I'm going to get into some of these chats in here too, but did Shane really have to go this direction with Daniel Jones? I mean, I'm only saying this because of the fact that you have a lot of people and they're non-locker room people. And I've talked about this before. You have people that talk about how this could affect the Giants locker room. And I love, can you dig it? Different movie though. That's the Warriors. I thought
you were going to do some Booker T stuff.
That's the Warriors with Cyrus. Can you dig it? Great movie.
Never seen that one either.
The Warriors. I've got to give you a list of things you got to see. But you have people that are talking about how this could become a locker room distraction. That if Daniel Jones plays poorly and Saquon Barkley is still not getting paid. And I love it because you have a lot of people that have never been in locker rooms that are making these assumptions. Now, I've played in college. I've worked in the pros and the AFL and the NFL. I've been in multitudes of players' locker rooms. And I can tell you that, you know, everyone thinks that you go into a locker room with a team, it's all kumbaya. Everyone loves everyone. No, there are factions in the locker room. There are players that hate other players in the locker room. It's just a dichotomy of life. You got a bunch of people all in together that are you got 53 guys that are stuck together. You're going to like some, you're going to hate some. And yes, there is animosity that will get built up in this locker room if A, you don't pay Dexter Lawrence, B, Daniel Jones doesn't perform, and C, if Saquon Barkley's playing under the tag. And someone sent me a video, and I don't remember where it was, saying that, you know, the Giants aren't good enough internally to have this much potential animosity in the locker room because of the fact that they are going up against a tougher schedule. They do have multitudes of holes in the defense and the offense and a couple places here and there that they may not have a culture strong enough. Now, here's my question to you, and this is kind of a roundabout way to get into this. Back in certain days, you knew like Strahan was the leader of the locker room.
Yeah.
Eric Carson was the leader of the locker room. Lawrence Taylor was a locker room leader. Phil Simms was a locker room guy. You know, that these guys could control or help facilitate these locker rooms. I really don't see anyone on the Giants, and maybe I'm wrong, that is almost like the locker room lawyer, is almost like the king of the kangaroo court, as they used to call it in baseball. You know, I'm who do you think in the Giants right now has that? Because it's not Daniel Jones, it's not Saquon Barkley, it's not Dexter Lawrence, it's not Leonard Williams. Who's our locker room guy? Who can put away this animosity and stop it and kind of go from there?
The only person, to be honest with you, that I think that could probably do it is McKinney.
Really? Even though he's coming up for a contract too.
Yeah, I mean, I think he's done it this year. He did it coming into the year. You know, I think he's the type of guy that, you know, will say, you know, fuck what they say on the outside. You know, they don't know what we're doing here, this, that, and the third. You know, like he'd be the guy to kind of hold the team together, so to speak, in the locker room,
right.
and do accountability. But that would probably be the only person. You know, I agree with you. I mean, you know, Barkley is a leader, but I don't think that he's a guy in the locker room like Strahan was, like LT was, like Eli was, you know, like some of these guys were, Antonio Pierce. I mean, we really had a lot of those guys, David Deal, Sean O'Hara, you know, Kareem McKenzie, Like they knew what the deal was. And even back in the 2011, you had Fred Robbins, you had Rocky Bernard, you had Chris Canty, like you had all of these guys, Justin Tuck. They were the leaders in the locker room, and they were going to be like, listen, they would just walk up there and say, if you got a fucking problem, you got a fucking problem, but we're not doing this in here. It's not breaking up this locker room. You're going to keep peace. And I don't think we've got that other than maybe McKinney. I don't see that unless one of these younger guys.
Do you remember the incident with Jason Pierre-Paul and the Prince of Mukamura? Where
it was like a fight or something like that, wasn't it?
Jokingly picked up Prince and threw him in one of the saunas, one of the whirlpools. Now Prince, who was a rookie at the time, took highly offense to that, and there was a locker room riff after that happened, because you had some people saying, no, he's being a baby because he's a rookie, he should just take it, and you got some people saying, no, he's still a professional, and you really had kind of an issue, in that giant locker room, especially on the defensive side after that happened. And like I said, money is the root of all evil. Money makes people do things that you never know what they're going to do, but it just drives people crazy. And if someone's getting paid and someone's not getting paid, and that person that's getting paid is not performing, there may be some animosity. And like I said, I love the locker room lawyers who have never been in a locker room. They're always talking about the locker room. It's like, you've never been in a locker room. How the hell do you know? I can tell you times that we especially in college, certain defensive players hated offensive players because they thought they were not carrying the load and putting more pressure on the defense. There was animosity. So like I said, you have 53 personalities jammed into a locker room, and you all don't get along. No, I'm gonna tell you that right now. It's just like life.
It is. And what, Swing Culture and Jose G, they talk about Shep. I think Shep is a leader, but I don't think Shep is a locker room leader type of guy. I think he's a guy that when
he doesn't play.
He doesn't play, but two, I don't think you need to play to be a leader. But so I would say that he well, in some cases, yeah, but I think that he's a leader. Like, for instance, everybody saw when the Browns were on Hard Knocks, right? And Jarvis Landry was in the wide receiver room, and he was like telling, like, I'm tired of this losing, I'm tired of this, I'm tired of that. Shep is the leader of the wide receiver room. Like, he's the leader in that wide receiver room, but he's not a leader on the football team. Like, I'm talking like Michael Strahan could address both sides of the football.
Right.
And speak to both sides of the football. Lawrence Taylor could speak to both sides of the football. Tuck, Canty, these guys could speak to both sides of the football. When Eli Manning spoke, he spoke to everybody, and they listened because they respected who he was. Shep right now can speak for offense, and when he's in the wide receiver rooms and he's in the wide receiver meetings,
I think he could speak for the wide receivers.
Yes, 100%. He could speak to those wide receivers. He can go in there. If they're playing like shit, he could call them out. He could say this. Like, he could do whatever he's got to do. But if Shep tried to go out there and talk to the defense, say, y'all need to start playing harder, y'all need to do this, they would literally look at Shep and tell him to shut the fuck up.
You're right. Let's run. We're getting way behind on these comments here. We got Yusuf saying we don't need Saquon. I'm not even going to address that.
No,
I told you I can't address stupidity to this early in the morning when I'm not feeling well. We got Swing Culture TV saying, Grand Rising, gentlemen. We have Tom coming in. Saquon had one good year. Get out of here. One good year.
Interesting.
Didn't he have 3,000 yard seasons? Didn't he win NFL Rookie of the Year?
Didn't he have 2,000 yards total scrimmage for a rookie?
We're not going to talk about that. Mr. Yeah. Bruce comes in and says, hey, Tim, last show you told me that the Giants running back are reliant. I agree. Do you think there was a way for the team to be built? That's a good way for the team to build. Are we closer to Super Bowl on a rebuild? Honestly, Rob, I mean, think about it, Rob. Great teams, especially in Giants pass, what have they won with? They won with Earth, Wind, and Fire. They won with Otis Anderson. They won with Joe Morris. They
Brandon
Jacobs at part of Earth, Wind, and Fire. They ran with a purpose.
Yep.
And what did they play on all 4 Super Bowl wins? Good defense. 2000. We had I was at that Super Bowl in Tampa. We had an average defense and a somewhat good offense, and we ran into a bad offense, but a all-world defense, and we couldn't run, and we collapsed. So to Mr. Bruce's question, I think we're still in the rebuild. I think we're closer to maybe taking a step back a game or two this season, but you never know. You never know what's going to happen. You never know what's going to happen in the division. You don't know about injuries. But I have a feeling, Rob, that if you can play, and this is why I laugh when people say, we don't need Saquon. What's Daniel Jones's record without Saquon Barkley?
Losing.
Yeah, he's got a losing record.
It's a losing record.
That should tell you something right there. Let's see. Swing Culture TV says, I think Mr. Robinson falls at 25. We draft him, trade Barkley to put for picks plus free up $10 million.
I mean, listen, if you want to redo 2018 all over again, I'm all for it.
Do you trade Barkley though?
Absolutely not.
Do you trade him? Do you take a running back? Sorry, I remember breakfast.
No, it's okay. I get the nostalgia around trading Barkley, drafting Bijan, like you're resetting at that position, and you're gonna have a guy that's gonna be maybe just as good. But I mean, look, Bijan Robinson, if you guys remember, there was a running back that came out. Oh my God, I can't remember his name. But he came out in the when the Colts took Andrew Luck, Richardson, Richardson.
Trent Richardson out of Alabama.
Trent Richardson, and everybody thought he was going to be the next guy, right? He was looking great, next guy. He had great highlights in college, and then he ended up being a bust.
At an average year in the first rookie season in Cleveland.
And and everything like that. So again, I'm not saying that's what Bijan Robinson is going to be, but what I'm saying is like, who Saquon is. You don't know what Bijan Robinson is going to be. It'd be smart to stay with Saquon versus getting rid of him, drafting Bijan. Hopefully he's going to be something, and then he's struggling. Jones is struggling. The team is awful, and then everybody's blaming everybody, and we're in a bad situation.
Mr. Bruce also wants to know, what is your favorite depression drink after a loss? I drink Paul Mason brandy because it's potent and it has me lose brain cells, so I don't remember the beatdown we got in the postseason. I'm a Grand Marnier guy. I know you're supposed to drink Grand Marnier warmed in a sniffer with your cigar, and I always like a good cigar, but I drink it as a shot because that's what I am. I'm a man. So that would be my drink. Rob, what's your depression drink?
Man, my depression drink
after a tough loss, like if the Knicks would have lost yesterday.
I don't drink I don't really drink alcohol like that. I would say it would be like normally I'd be like chugging like 2 or 3 Pepsis, but I don't drink soda anymore. So I will say for the sake of the conversation, a Yingling will be my chug drink of choice.
Oh, Yingling. I thought you were going to say Bud Light. Hey-oh. Oh, we got the Two-Toe Super Chat drop.
Bud in the fridge.
Sacrilege. Massive salute. First of all, Bud Light's not beer.
Tudo. It's low calorie, though. It's low calorie.
Let's call Bud Light water.
It's low calorie.
Let's just
trying to watch my figure, Tim. I'm trying to watch my figure.
You don't need to worry about that.
I got to shave, by the way.
I just
rough, Tim. You didn't tell me I'm looking rough or anything like that.
You look good, man. You look good.
Super
dropping the massive salute to the boys, the big proper swept to Tim, Rod, James, Zach, and all the diehard Giant fans in the building. Please tell Joe Shane to pay the locker room. Yeah, that's what, you know what? And I think Joe Shane has his pulse on the locker room. I don't think he's oblivious to what's going on in the locker room. And I don't want to keep talking about the locker room because I want to get into the draft. But I think he's okay with that. I think he's fine with that. And I think he's playing. And I've said it before, Rob. General manager plays 5 seasons down the road. Your head coach plays the season in front of him. I do get concerned that if we're playing the season in front of us, having your key component on offense not happy. We've seen what happens when running backs are not happy. We've seen what happens when running backs hold out and then come in the last week of training camp and usually get hurt the third play of the first game. And I get a little concerned. I don't think Saquon's going to hold out. But like I said, and everyone's getting all excited, but it's a voluntary workout. He's not.
Yeah, I don't think it's something too serious.
He's not missing he's not missing a workout that's mandatory. It's voluntary. Dexter Lawrence is missing it as well.
Yeah.
So I'm kind of curious to see what's going on. All right, guys, let me get to some of these chats because we got James. I didn't even see my brother James in the house. Rookie of
James.
We got James Williams dropping in. I got all these chats, Rob. I'm not manning the chats.
You're behind, man. You got to pick up the pace.
I am way behind. Jose G says teams don't plan to stop Jones. They plan to stop Barkley because no one is scared of Jones beating them with their arm. Yeah, I think
Michael Parsons. sorry. I'm coming down with a cold.
I like Parsons, and I always liked him as a player. I thought the Giants were going to draft him when he was sitting there. I thought the Giants were going to draft him. But I like him more the fact that I would love to have seen him on the Giants because we talk about locker room presence.
Oh, I would think he would have been the closest in the locker room that we had to LT in a long time.
Yeah, he would have been that locker room presence because sometimes he speaks. Sometimes I think he speaks without thinking, but a lot of times he speaks with the truth.
Yep.
And we've heard it before. The truth shall always set you free. Cheap, shameless plug to get off my lawn, the Matt Redlings of Gen X. One of the most
maybe Hattie will be that for us next year. Maybe Hattie will be like that for us.
You think we're going that way?
I mean, listen, Jihad Ward's going to have to do something. Like he's got that Baltimore swag, man. That shit needs to come out. Period.
He's just got to play better because he's good in moments, but then he disappears. Zach Attack says offense wins games, defenses win championships. Besides the Chiefs, most Super Bowl wins teams have a good running game, great run games, and good defense wins championships. You're right. Defense. They always say defense wins championships. Max on the beat. I personally think DJ has shown the ability to step up and tried to pay Barkley beforehand. Here's the problem with that. Should we run through the list one more time? McCaffrey, $16 million. Kamara, $15. Ezekiel Elliott, before he got waived, would have been $15. Dalvin Cook, $12.6. Derrick Henry, $12.5. Nick Chubb's, $12.2. Aaron Jones, $12. Joe Nixon, $12.
Yeah, Max, surely sounds like they've really valued Saquon Barkley at $10 million.
And we've talked about this before. Yeah, they offered him $12 million. But I find this interesting, Rob, to this day, no one is still talking about that contract. No one's talking about what the guaranteed money was. No one's talking about what the years was. I find it interesting because normally when that's the case, go to Lamar Jackson. Everyone was bashing Lamar Jackson. Lamar Jackson comes out and said, you want to know what they offered me? Yeah. This is what the Ravens offered me.
I think that's what it is. I think like everybody's shitting and like, oh, well, Barkley, they offered him 12.5 and he said no. Well, they could offer him 12.5, but the guaranteed money could have been low as shit. So like now Barkley don't look like an idiot for saying no to that. You know what I'm saying? Like
Barkley got bad advice from his agent. And like I said, I don't know if he got bad advice from his agent because if you look at the running back market, I think he's better than Nixon. I think he's better than Jones. I think he's better than Chubb. I think he catches the ball better than Chubb, and Chubb also has Kareem Hunt. I think he's better now than Derrick Henry because Derrick Henry to me is more he's never going to be that stalwart in the passing game. Yeah. I think he's on par with Dalvin Cook. I think he's a hell of a lot better than Ezekiel Elliott would have been. I think he's on par with Kamara, and I think he's on par with McCaffrey. So I don't see like this huge difference of talent between these guys that are getting paid. And they gave up 49ers gave up a king's ransom
to
get McCaffrey.
Forget McCaffrey. Yeah. They gave up a king's ransom. And I agree with what Max on the beat said. I think 13.5 for Barkley is more than fair.
Yeah.
I think he would accept that. I think he would accept that deal 100%.
We got Max on the beat saying he loves the hat, Rob. That is a nice hat. I got to give you credit. That is a nice hat. And don't forget to hit the like button. We're only at 18 likes. Make sure you hit the like button. I'm sick and I'm doing this, so make sure you hit the like button.
I'll take the hat off if you guys don't hit the like button.
Trust me.
If you don't hit the like, I'll take it off.
Leave the hat on and just kind of pull it down just like a little bit more like here. You're good. There you go. That's better. That's better. T-Brad said the problem with people are so quick to undervalue the running back position, so they have the feeling like running backs are easy to get, but running backs like Barkley aren't just going anywhere. They're just. Here's the thing with Barkley, and we've talked about this before, Rob. And he's gonna leave it. He's gonna leave it until we get to 20 likes. Here's the thing: the Giants are kind of built in a weird way, and we've talked about this. They are extremely running back or run reliant, even with their quarterback. You take away what Barkley did on offense, are you going to get that production out of a rookie, or are you going to get that production out of Daniel Jones?
I think that they would be hoping to get it from a multitude. I think if you go ahead and you get a rookie running back, then you ultimately have to run Jones more. Like Jones would have to run the ball more. And me and you've had this conversation. Like, I don't want Jones running as much as he did this year. I think he needs to be passing the ball more in a passing league. I'm not saying that he's not going to run, but I do think that he needs to run the ball less. And I think if you get a rookie, you're ultimately going to need to run him more to aid the rookie. So now your quarterback is trying to aid your rookie running back in the running game. And we hit 21 likes.
We hit 21 likes. All right, you can put that back up then. Let's see. DeVille says if the Eagles couldn't win a Super Bowl with LaShawn McCoy in his prime, I'm not pressed. See, that's a different conversation entirely. There's a lot of
totally different build teams.
Two totally different. Not even like a direct comparison of the Giants. I mean, we're not even gonna get into that. Let's see here. We got Luis Ortega. We got what's going on, my friend? We got Big L. What are you doing? Don't change your name about Big L. What's up, Tim? Give me some. Let's call it a day. We'll enjoy that. Let's see here. We got Greg coming all the way in from Sweden. Said sad time to be a running back. I think it's a sad time to be a running back in the league, but I think it's worse for Saquon Barkley.
Yep.
Only because of the fact this, Rob. You had a guy that came into the league. Well, everyone loved him. Everyone loved him. He had the injuries for 2 years. He had the ACL where he missed the season, and then he had the year when he tried to come back, but then he came back to a top performance. And everyone wants to talk about how the fact that he can't stay healthy. Nobody wants to talk about this last year was Daniel Jones's first healthy season in his career. So, but Saquon Barkley's injury prone, evidently, but Daniel Jones is not.
I was talking with somebody the other day, like Jones and Barkley have missed almost the same amount of games collectively since Jones has been in the league, and Jones was here a year earlier. Like Jones missed 7 games in 2021. He missed 4 or 5 games in 2020, and then his rookie season, he missed like 6 games. So it's like he's missed a bunch of time. Barkley missed a whole season in 2020. Obviously, when he tore his ACL, he missed like 3 or 4 weeks in 2021 when he sprained his ankle. And then I think Jones's rookie year, I think he missed like another 4 or 5 weeks or something like that with an ankle injury or something like that, or whatever, or a knee sprain or whatever it was. I think it was another ankle injury. So they've almost missed the same amount of time. And here's the other thing that people don't talk about is everybody talks about how Daniel Jones has had it rough. Oh, he hasn't had any weapons. Oh, his offensive line has been bad. Barkley has had one of the worst run blocking offensive lines since he's been in the league. He hasn't had, since Odell Beckham, a wide receiver to take pressure off of the top to lessen the boxes that he's going up against as a running back. And yet he is still producing at a high level, but nobody talks about that. See, people make the excuses for Jones, but people don't make the same excuses for Saquon Barkley. Why is Barkley able to produce when things are not good around him, but Jones cannot?
Barkley's offensive line that rookie season was probably one of the worst offensive lines I've seen the Giants have.
What did they have? They had Nate Solder. Then they have Eric Flowers. They had
you don't even need to name anyone else.
Patrick Omame. I think they had who was their center? I can't even remember. Was Richburg still there?
No, it was the center that year was the guy. I can't even think of his name. Someone will Zach Attack will pull it up. We have Happy
He wore 55, I believe. I think was his number he wore.
I know you talk my same thing, but I got to get to these. Happy, Humble, and Hungry says, OBB, I love your channel, though I don't agree with some of your takes, i.e. Daniel Jones, but I love, you know what, that's the thing. That's the thing, Rob. And I've said this a million times. You don't have to agree with me. You don't have to like me. But you know what? I just do this because I'm giving you my opinion. Just like I respect everyone else's opinions. I would hope people respect the opinion I give. So,
Indeed.
so you know what? So it's okay. And it makes for a better channel when you don't agree. And that's what I've always said. We got the Zag Tag dropping the big super chat. Bud Light is the water with a spritz of alcohol. I don't disagree. I don't disagree. Of course, this is a man. I have my keg full right now and my tap with Heineken. So, that's just the way I roll. Tudo dropping the super chat saying, Tim, the best edge rushers always wins championship. Please suit me up in the Blues, and I'll guarantee you 2 crushes every week in the O-lines of the quarterback. Good. Come on in.
Okay, Tudo.
I'll make a call, Tudo, and see what they have to say. They're not going to listen to me. We got James Williams coming in here saying, hit the like button. Let's see here. Let's go down here a little bit here. Yep, James Williams. It was Trent Richardson was not seen as Saquon Barkley when he was coming out. Trent Richardson, when he came out of college, he came off a big, I think he came off that big bowl game.
Yeah.
He is a guy that had size, had speed, but he just did not have the ability to find the hole and make the proper cuts. He became a one cut back, and then he became a no cut back, and his career just fizzled out. And to your point, you could draft, the greatest running Archie. I always go back old school. Archie Griffin, the only running back to win 2 Heismans in a row when he was over at Ohio State, got drafted by the Bengals, had a pedestrian career.
Yeah.
You have Walter Payton was out of Jackson State. No one thought Walter Payton was going to be going to be who he was for the Bears. You don't know. It's a crapshoot. So I'm not, with the amount of issues that we have on certain parts of this team, I can't take a running back at 25. Yeah, I can't take a running back in the 2nd round. Hell, I can't take a running back in the 3rd round.
I'd say fourth and beyond. I would definitely like a McBride, I think would be there. There's a lot of different running backs. And James, as far as like with the Trent Saquon thing, I mainly brought up Trent to like Bijan Robinson because somebody had asked about, do you take Bijan at 25? And that's who I compared it to. Like, not saying Bijan is going to be like what Trent was, but you never know. Like, they could be hyping him up, and then Bijan can come in and just be average.
James also says, it's amazing how many fans are ready to cut the bait with our Pro Bowl running back because they believe he is they believe in an overpaid quarterback. We talked about
That's facts. That's facts. That's really what it is, bro. Like, that is what it is.
I can't, you know what? I've said this before, and I keep saying it, and this is why I love when people are like, you're just such a negative Nelly about Daniel Jones. I hope Daniel Jones succeeds. I hope Daniel Jones plays well. I hope Daniel Jones passes for 4,500 yards, 30 touchdowns. But you know what?
I want him to prove me wrong. I want him
$40 million a year.
I want him to.
This is what you better do. Yeah. I'm not going to take 3,000 yards, 15 touchdowns passing, and another 7 rushing. I'm not going to accept that. I'm not going to accept combined 3,900 yards for 22 touchdowns at $40 million a year. I want Mahomian numbers. I want Burrow numbers. I want, and you can't sit there and tell me that Patrick Mahomes, his wide receiving core last year was phenomenal.
He made them phenomenal.
Outside of Juju, in a couple of games here and there, they did not have the wide receiver core, of Jerry Rice and Jonathan Taylor, and what's his name?
Watch what Richie James does there next year, people. Watch what Richie James does there next year.
I worry about what Darius Stoney does there next year.
And you know what's funny is, and it's perfect what you just said as far as like when they're talking about like the money and all of this aspect, because I saw people like on social media and they're like, man, it's just a bunch of people pocket watching Daniel Jones and this, that, and the third about how much he got paid and this and that. Same people that are saying that are the same people that were shitting on the Jacksonville Jaguars when they overpaid for Christian Kirk last year. And now look, you guys were slamming on the Jags. You gave Christian Kirk $80 million. You guys are this and that and the third, but yet
I thought
we're pocket watching.
I thought they overpaid him exponentially, But you look at the season that he had, look at the season Jackson.
He lived up to his money. He played great.
And then you look at someone like the smooth sounds of Kenny G. You give him $72 million, he produces nothing. I mean,
can we get it? Can we get it one time? Can we get it one time?
It's Daniel. No. There you go.
Bringing you the smooth sounds of Kenny G.
It should be retired.
$72 million. Not worth it. As you can plainly see.
That should be retired. It was actually off the soundboard. That's why I couldn't find it. Because you had
a free agent, folks. Maybe we should bring him back.
Shockingly, we haven't, because of the fact that Daniel Jones had no weapons last year, but he brought back almost his entire receiving core. But don't worry, this is why I should drink, and I should drink more, because evidently I need to have less brain cells. Oh,
good God, man!
Great balls of fire. Chris says, "How is there not 20 likes?" Oh, we got 20 likes now, Chris. But thank you, Chris. Chris for the
27.
27. We need to get 30. By the way, We Were Built was in Gettleman's tenured. But here's the thing. It doesn't matter if it's Gettleman. It doesn't matter if it's Shane. At the end of the day, it's this. And I've said this before, Rob, this Daniel Jones's contract is Shane's Gettleman move. If it fails, it's going to haunt him, and it's going to be an anchor around his neck, like all the multitudes of signings and draft picks and everything else that Gettleman signed up on.
Indeed.
And for those that bash Gettleman, though, who Dexter Lawrence, who drafted him?
Dave Gettleman.
Xavier McKinney?
Dave Gettleman.
Daniel Jones?
Dave Gettleman.
Saquon Barkley?
Dave Gettleman.
Andrew Thomas?
Dave Gettleman.
Sorry, I'm not a Gettleman fan. First of all, Gettleman was never good at free agency. He had one good year at free agency when Carolina went 14-2, and he brought in all those guys, and he had an all-world Cam Newton. But he was always good at drafting guys. And same thing. Who brought in James Bradbury, who played well, when he was here with the Giants? Same thing. Who brought in Blake Martinez? I mean, but you have your good moves, but then you have the Kenny G moves. You have those moves that are going to be your anchor.
The Nate Solder moves.
The Nate Solder move. I don't like talking
Patrick Omame, the Alec Ogletree trade and signing. The signing and trading of Odell Beckham, like all that. We didn't even bring that up. Max, the thing is it's all right. Look, if we're running a business and Tim is running a business and he fails at that business, and then I get hired to take over that business, and the reason why he got fired, I'm making the same mistakes that he did, then they should have just stuck with Tim if I'm going to make the same mistakes, because they brought me in to thinking that I was going to do something different, that I was going to do something better. Now, here's the thing that, and I wonder, and I ask this question to everybody, is it very well possible that Joe Shane could be a better player evaluator through free agency and through the draft, but still make the same horrible financial decisions that Dave Gettleman did as far as impulse decisions? That is very well possible. That is very, very well possible, guys. So again, I'm not calling Joe Shane Dave Gettleman, but like Tim said, like if this fails with Daniel Jones, it was a Dave Gettleman move. It was a Dave Gettleman decision.
Yeah, it was a Dave Gettleman type move. Max the Best says, Max on the Beat says, I think we'll maybe building to keep the running game strong, but the goal is to improve the pass game, thus trading for Waller. I agree. I think
you're not going to trade for Waller if you don't plan on
if you're not going to throw the ball. He says, agreed. He needs DJ to run less. Yes, we've said it a million times before. There's a word in the English dictionary that I like to use. It's called vertical. That's what the Giants offense needs to do. That's the way we need to go. We got Evan saying, what's up, guys? We got Jose G.
What's up, Evan?
Thank you for saying this. I don't remember what we said, but evidently I said it, so it must be
whatever it was. You're welcome, Jose.
Thank you, Jose. Neither Rob or I ever pay attention. Get the 30 likes here. Let's go. Come on, guys. Giants 34 says, how do you pay a guy who is 40 million that has done nothing in the league, but say a guy like Saquon Barkley, who's been the face of the franchise, the best player, and I wonder which one's getting overpaid? I mean, the quarterback is always the position in the league. We can agree with that, right?
Agreed.
That's the position to be at. But if you look at, the entire offense should facilitate through your quarterback because he's the guy that holds the snap and gets the snap. Correct?
Correct.
So you would think that he would get paid the most. But the problem is when you have a running back. Now, I always laugh because everyone wants to dump on Barkley. And yeah, he had those bad years. But how much? Think about this, Rob, and I'm going to put you on the spot here. What do you think? What is the career rushing yards right now for Saquon Barkley?
Say that. Sorry.
What are his Saquon Barkley stats right now for his career? How many rushing yards does he have as a Giant?
You want to look it up?
No. I want you to take a shot.
What I'd say I think he had a little bit over 1,000 in his rookie year. He had 1,300 this year, so that's 23. He missed 2020. I think he had 2,000-yard seasons back-to-back his rookie and his sophomore year.
Yep.
So that's 3,300. And then the year that he hurt his ankle, I think he had like 700. So 4,000, a little bit over 4,000.
4,290 yards with 20 touchdowns. That's what he's had so far in his Giant career. You then add in his receiving yards, and he has over 1,800 receiving yards right now in his Giant career. So in his Giant career, he has over yards, from the line of scrimmage, over 6,069 yards in his career, and he missed an entire season vis-a-vis an injury. That's pretty good. That's a pretty good stats for a guy that people just want to dump on and get rid of.
And he missed the season.
That's what I'm saying. And he only played 2 games that one season. And he has crazy. Over 6,100 yards from total scrimmage with his entire career, not to mention 30 plus touchdowns. But he is the problem. He's the guy we don't want to pay.
Look, I get the whole aspect. It's a running back. I get it. But I mean, like, people just, I don't know, man. I get what people say. Like when you look at the last 10 years and you look at the teams that have won a Super Bowl, they haven't had a Hall of Fame top tier running back. But to be honest, like people bring up the Isaiah Pacheco with the Chiefs last year, but Isaiah Pacheco isn't doing that on any other team other than the Chiefs.
No. Without having Patrick Mahomes under center.
But exactly, like a lot of these running backs that are like the Damian Williams that they had the year that they won the first Super Bowl in 2018 or 2019, the James Whites, all of these other guys and stuff like that, the Cam Akers and the whatever that the Rams had going on, like these guys aren't what they are without a high tier quarterback. So
think of it this way, and this is the way I always think about it with running backs. Running backs can be delved into a system. Running backs could be built into the system. I always go back to the Denver Broncos and their blocking scheme. Reuben Drones, Mike Anderson, Tatum Bell, Selvin Young, Peyton Hillis, all these guys,
Mike Anderson,
and had 1,000-yard seasons. Oh, what's his name? Odellis Gary. What's his name? Gary. I can't remember his name. He had 1,000-yard season with them after Terrell Davis left. These are guys that were plugged into a system, had a 1,000-yard rushing season, and then times Denver dumped them the next year.
And
plugged in another guy,
and that's because of their offensive line.
And it was also the way their scheme was in reference to blocking.
Yeah, I literally just talked about this the other day where people were talking about in the draft, they want to go, we need to get this offensive line fixed because this offensive line will fix everything. It'll legitimately fix a lot. And I think it's going to open up things either where now you're going to have it to where Daniel Jones is going to have time in the pocket and he's either going to show that he can do it, or B, listen, you've got all the time in the world and you're still fucking up. Like, what's going on? And it's going to allow Saquon Barkley to have even a better career and be a little bit more fresh. It did not matter. I would probably say from like 1997 all the way up until probably 2007. it did not matter, or no, 2005. It did not matter who you put in the running back position in Denver. They all ran for over 1,000 yards. Clinton Portis, 1,500 yards back-to-back seasons. Tatum Bell had it. Willis McGahee.
He go from 98 after Davis all the way up till about 2007.
2007. You had Willis McGahee that went there, ran for over 1,000 yards. Clinton Portis that ran for over 1,000 yards. You brought up, Tatum Bell, Anderson, ran over. I mean, he was later down, but I mean, like Mike Anderson, he was a fullback. Peyton Hillis, he was a fullback. Reuben Jones, he was a fullback. These guys ran for over 1,000 yards. It was just plug and play. You knew that whoever was going to get there, if fantasy football was a thing, you would have picked them up automatically.
You always pick Denver. You always pick Denver. And Mark says running backs and quarterbacks are two different positions. Yeah, I understand that, Mark, but you understand something, and I love how he says, what the fuck is he talking about? This is what I'm talking about. Your team is built around running. Your quarterback threw for 3,000 yards and 15 touchdowns. Your team is built to run. That's the way the team was built last year. And you were taking the guy that had a stellar season, over 1,300 yards, 10 touchdowns, and added another 338 in the passing game, which he should probably have more, because I don't understand why the Giants don't use him more as an outlet, because of the fact that you do play action rollout. So they only give Daniel Jones one option, and then the other option is for him to run. Yeah. So you want to know what the fuck this means? This means that if you are a run heavy offense, you need, wait for it, a running back. Can't deal with stupidity. Sorry, Rob. Just can't deal with stupidity.
What do we have for him now, Johnny?
We have
a new brain.
We're not even at 30 likes. Come on, there's 60-something people in this room. Get up to 30 likes. We're up to 70.
Listen, with content like this, it better be freaking 35.
35. It should be at least 7. Timothy says, hey, Tim, it's 11 days before the draft. You are 100% right. It is 11 days for the draft. We got Chris speaking out saying, speaking of the Jags, though, I'm happy for Ingram. I like him as a person, as a player. He just couldn't get it right here.
Agreed.
Agree. I mean, there's nothing else to there's nothing to say about that. You're right.
Beautiful dog, by the way, Chris.
Oh, in the picture.
Yeah, in the picture, yes.
I was like, okay. I was like, is that code? Is that like young guy? Is that like young guy code? Is that code for something I need to know about here? Because something else going on here. Giants Certification 4 says, Tim, I'm willing to bet you that Kenny G will have a good year if he leaves DJ, because all we can see is DJ holds players back. This is going to be actually interesting, Rob. And I don't know if Kenny G is ever going to do anything ever again in the league. But let's just say, for argument's sake, let's just say he goes to Green Bay. I'm just picking a team. And let's say he has 800 yards
or the Rams. Say he goes
or the Rams. Let's say he goes Rams. So let's say he has
back to Matthew Stafford.
Right. He goes 800 yards, 9 touchdowns. What is that? No, I'm actually being serious.
No, I agree with you. Like that, to me, that I would put questions on the quarterback and the coaching staff.
I mean, that's what I'm curious about, because you look at Evan Ingram. Evan Ingram was a good player here, not a great player. Yeah, he made some Pro Bowls, which he probably shouldn't have. But he always seemed to have something missing. And then he goes and he did not start off well. People forget that. He did not start in Jacksonville till like week 6 or 7. I had him on my fantasy football team. That's how come I know this. It wasn't until he started getting into the latter part of the season, into the money part of the season, did he start performing. And it was interesting that you have Trevor Lawrence and he performs for Trevor Lawrence. And I've said it before, and we've talked about it before. You have the golden child and Golden Tate, the model citizen, played well. Everyone else was well respected. Comes to the Giants, comes to Daniel Jones. And all of a sudden he's a locker room malcontent.
Yeah.
You have Kenny G, who I thought was a bad signing, but he had 1,000-yard seasons in with the Lions.
I think he had back-to-back years where he had 10 touchdowns.
No, he had 1 year. We had most of his touchdowns. He had 10, then he had like 5 the next year. Which people get that misconception, because he has like 18 touchdowns and like 10 of them came in 1 year in Detroit. But still, he played well in Detroit. Even on his off seasons, he played well. He comes here, Daniel Jones. He can't. His fingers have turned to butter.
Yeah. And Max, to argue that your little point there, but Stafford is an elite quarterback. Newsflash: your quarterback is paid like an elite quarterback.
So at the end of the day, that's what he has to do. You pay someone $40 million a year, and like I said, yes, it's on average of 40 at the entire term of the contract. It's actually only about 32 over the first 2 years that are guaranteed. But still, you're paying someone like they are a top 10 quarterback and potentially a top 5 quarterback. You need to have the results of a top 5 quarterback.
Indeed.
Oh, getting back to Zach actually found the center, and I couldn't think of his name, but it was John Jalapeno.
John Jalapeno.
That was the center in 2018. Yes, and he actually was the worst run blocking center in the league that year. And the Giants had him twice. We felt we needed to bring him back the next year before he got hurt.
Unbelievable.
So I'm curious, like I said, so if you have these wide receivers, Rob, that go somewhere else and excel, and then they come here to die. I've always pointed out the fact, look at Eli Manning. Name me a wide receiver that left Eli Manning that excelled someplace else. No, they all fell off the planet except for Shockey, who went to Drew Brees. And he didn't even have that great of a season because he had the other tight end with him. Same when he went to when he had Greg Olsen and when he went to Carolina. You can't name, everyone else just fell off the planet. Now in some ways it's kind of a reverse, that you have people coming here. Like I said, the Golden Tate thing to me has always been a mystery, because Golden Tate in Philadelphia, in Seattle, the Golden Donor from Notre Dame, never had a problem anywhere. NFL Player of the Year, all this thing, Man of the Year, all this stuff. He comes here and all of a sudden he's an asshole. And then he gets in trouble because after that touchdown and that one game, after they ignored him all game, and he basically started yelling at Daniel Jones, like, hey, look, this is what happens when you throw me the ball. Because it was a great touchdown catch.
Yeah. So, and that's why for me, I don't get why people are so hung up on Darius Slayton. I don't get it. The guy's been here for four flipping years, people. 4 flipping years, and
all
people
he does is do what the Giants ask him to do.
And the guy was legitimately being, like, people were talking about getting rid of him last year, trade him, cut him. He sucks. When he, dropping passes, he's awful. Get him back. Blah, 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 blah. Breaking news. The New York Giants retain one of their own. Darius Slayton signing a 2-year, $12.5 million deal. Great signing. Great job bringing him back. Love the move. Another depth piece. Depth at $12.5 million, people?
That's a lot of depth.
That's a lot of depth, people. That's a lot.
That's a lot
of depth. Guess what? If we lose, if for whatever reason, for those of you that don't understand it, let me paint the picture for you. He's getting paid $6 million this year. Barkley is getting paid 10.
Yeah.
You could have taken half of that money and given it to Barkley.
Who's the more vocal, or who's the more focus point of the offense?
Must have been Darius Slayton.
I mean,
listen to this, chat. Darius Slayton got a contract and Barkley got tagged. Think about that. Let's take the quarterback. You guys don't want to do the quarterback running back comparison? Fine. Darius Slayton is here for 2 years. We don't know where Barkley's going to be next year. We don't even know if Barkley's going to be here this year. But we know Slayton's going to be here.
Yep.
Think about that. Think about that for just a second, y'all. Think about it. Jesus Christ.
Evan says, I blame Mara. People can say what they want. Mara wanted Jones, no matter what. I don't know if I blame Mara. I'm not gonna blame Mara. Let's get into this.
I'm tired of blaming him.
Let's put Damian Williams behind Jones and an offensive line. Let's see how he does compared to Saquon Barkley. Great point, my brothers. Of course it is, James. I want to get into the draft real bit here because we've kind of neglected it for the last hour. And the draft is in 11 days now. We are also going to be at the draft. So that's going to be fun. So I have 2 more tickets I'm going to be giving away. These are season ticket draft party tickets. So this is not general admission. So you will be down on the field. You're going to go through a locker room tour. and you're going to be in the coaches club for an autograph session. So these are not your standard, just just go stand in the stands tickets. You're going to get, plus you get to hang out with me, and everyone knows that's a fucking Mardi Gras. Giants sitting at 25.
You got beads?
Always.
Woo!
Always I'll be doing that as well. Giants sitting at 25. You have an interesting dichotomy right now. You have an interesting situation because of the fact that if you're honestly assessing the Giant talent level, 25 is a bad spot for the Giants. Because you could get a good player, or you could potentially get a player you're going to overpay for at that pick because you may be going best position player available. I've said it before, Rob. I'm the Giants. I'm trading out. I'm trading into the second round. Yes, I understand I lose the 5th-year option and I have 2 second-round picks, but at this point in time, I need talent. I had a 9-win season. It put me at 25. I need it at a center. I need interior offensive lineman. I need a wide receiver. I may need a running back. I'm going to need a true defensive end. Probably going to need 2 linebackers, potentially a CB2. Oh, and also just throwing the fact that we don't know what Bobby's going to do. So Bobby McCain, I may need a safety. But we have a punter. It makes more sense, in my opinion, to trade back for assets. And I think what's going to happen is I think there's going to be a run, Rob, in the first 10. I think 4 quarterbacks are going in the first 10 picks. So some of that talent is going to get pushed down. So some of that later first round talent that you would find between 25 and 32, I think that's going to get pushed into the early part of the second round. What is, in your mind, is there a detriment basically trading out of that 25? And let's say you trade out of that 25 and you're trading to 36, or you're trading to 38. Is there a detriment in regards to the Giants? Because like I said, you can accumulate more assets. Your 2 second round picks will probably combined cost you as much as that 25th pick because of the cap pool.
Mm-hmm.
Is that something the Giants look at? Is that something that Shane does?
I don't know. I'm all for moving back and acquiring more assets. I think they're going to need to, especially if whatever reason you got to be prepared, right? If this coming up season doesn't go the way that you want it, and you're finding yourself in the top 10 next year, and you've got a few quarterbacks that you may want to look into going and taking, you're going to need picks to move up to go and get those guys. I think it really is just going to depend on who's on the board. If I have on the board, I've got Cam Smith, Banks, Nolan Smith, the defensive lineman Chauncey, I believe is his name, or Cansey from the interior lineman, the 3 tech. I may not be as tempted to move back, or even maybe Jordan Addison. There's some rumors potentially that he may fall in the draft. At that point, I'm a little bit less tempted to trade out of 25. But if the talent and the best player available isn't necessarily really there, let's just say the best player available at that time is, I don't know, Josh Downs, Osiris Torrance, maybe, John Michael Schmidt, something like that, or whatever. I'd be more willing to move back and acquire more picks. The other thing that I would hope for, which it won't happen, but I would hope for, is that maybe one of these quarterbacks falls. I've heard a couple of rumors, Tim, that the Titans, there's been multiple teams that have reached out to Arizona to move up to 3. And the Titans tried to move up to 1. Titans may look up to move up to 3. I think the Titans are going to look to try to go quarterback. And I saw Ian Rappaport and Daniel Jeremiah talking that they believe Hooker may go in the first round to a team that may need a quarterback, like New Orleans or maybe Tennessee trades back into the first round to potentially try to get him if they can't get their hands on like an Anthony Richardson. So for me, if that's legitimate, that gives us more value for that 25th pick. Yes. For the 25th pick. So if that's the case, and you got Richardson that maybe falls, or if it's Levis that falls, or Hooker's price stock rises.
See, I think that you have the big two that are going to go, but I do think Levis and I do think Richardson are going in the top 10. I think they're all going in the top 10. I think some team is going to pay Mitchell Trubisky type ransom and trade up and make a mistake. Well, maybe not make a mistake, but I think that's going to happen. Hurst for Real says, I want Tippmann. And I like Tippmann a lot. I like the kid a lot. The only thing about Joe is he's 6'7". He's 6'7", 313. It's a little bit more difficult to have. A lot of people are talking about moving him out into the tackle position. It's hard to have.
That's what she said.
A guy that big under center, because when you stand up to go into your pass blocking, hopefully you have a 6'8" quarterback. But I mean, that's going to be interesting. If I'm going center, I do like Tippmann, but I also like Jarrett Patterson at Notre Dame. I've said it before. I like Ricky Stromberg. I believe out of Wisconsin. I think these are all guys you can get in the second, even potentially third to fourth round that could probably come in and slide to I'm sorry.
You like Owatumi out of Michigan?
Are we boring you?
Who? No, my wife was leaving. She was saying goodbye.
Bye, honey.
Get my kids ex-girlfriend.
Ex-girlfriend. Oh, an ex-girlfriend.
Yeah, I don't want to talk about
it. You don't want to get into that.
Yeah, I don't want to get into that. You don't like Owatumi? I didn't like out of Michigan.
I
like him, man. I like him a lot.
Here's the question: why?
One, he's a natural center. He could play, guard. He could play multiple position, but he's a natural center. He's played center for a good portion of his career, and Michigan had a very, very good offensive line last year. When it comes down to the coaches that spoke about him, he basically calls his own player meetings, even after practices, after games. Gets the offensive line together, is watching film. He's very intelligent, very smart, very physical. Just really knows how to play the position. And I feel like since Sean O'Hara, to be honest, we have not had a true natural center that could lead, that's intelligent, that's smart. And I think for the product that you're going to get, and you can get him with like the 89th pick in the third round, I think Owatumi out of Michigan is a great fit. I think you could draft him. You could still go in with maybe Bredesen or maybe the guy that they got from Pittsburgh starting.
Here's my only problem with that. I think he is a good pass blocker. I got to give him that right off the bat. I do think he's very inconsistent with his feet. If you're looking for a guy that's gonna kind of kick out, and if you're gonna pull your center, if you're gonna do anything like that, I don't think he's a guy that's gonna be doing to do that. If you watch him at Michigan, and this is something he could be coached in the NFL, I think he sets up. If you watch him, I think he sets up a little too high. I think he's when he's in his stance, he's setting up a little too high. And what's going to happen if you do that in the NFL? If you set up high in the NFL, what's going to happen?
You're going to get put on your ass.
You're going to get put on your ass, especially by a guy like, let's just say, Dexter Lawrence. And these are all things that you can fix. If you watched him also play a lot of Michigan, and I don't like using the word panic. I don't like using that word, but he is a guy that I think at times doesn't trust his ability, and he gets kind of, and this is bad to say because I think of Nick Gates, he gets kind of grabby. If he feels like he's being beat or something is going wrong, he gets grabby. And I've said it before, Nick Gates was the only center I have seen get a holding penalty by having a guy in a headlock, which looked like a reverse Heimlich maneuver. I've never seen the center do that before. He got a called, and I think he worries me at that way. If you set up high and you have a bull rusher in front of you and you panic a little bit, you're going to get your quarterback killed.
That's why, I think the more and more I think about it, with what you mentioned and the way we played offense, Joe Tippmann seems more like the guy that because he's a puller, right?
Yep.
They ran a lot of pulls. They ran a lot of buck sweeps, pitches where Feliciano was the lead blocker.
Yes.
Tennessee, Minnesota, a lot of that throughout the entire year. So, and when you watch a lot of Tippmann's highlights, he's pulling. He's the lead blocker. So I think that they're leaning probably more towards like a Pittman or a Whippler because they both play or Patterson. What is it, Stroggs or whatever. Yeah. I think out of like Penn State. I think he's at Penn State or something like that, or I don't remember where he's at. But
what's his name? Was it Juicy
or Stroggs or whatever it is?
Yeah. I think he's
those. Yeah, those are pulling centers, which I think that they would be inclined to go with. Where I think maybe like an Oluwatumi is more of a natural, like different type of center. Like not saying he can't pull, but he's more of a center that would probably be good for like the A and B gap, maybe C gap type of blocking.
That's where I was going with that because of the fact that if you watch, and now there is no indication that the Giants are going to get away totally from what they did last year offensively because they're going to build on what they did.
At least from the running game perspective. I don't see them changing the running aspect scheme. That I don't see.
Luciano kicked out quite extensively.
Yeah.
And you need a guy that's going to be able to slide out of that center position, but you also need a guy who's going to be strong enough to be the anchor in the middle of that field and have the ability to, I know what scares me. I know we picked up the kid from Pittsburgh, but who's started 5 games at center, JC. But I get concerned. Yeah, I know. I saw these videos,
and everybody's hyping this guy up too. Like, man, we got that center from Pittsburgh, man. I'm like, who is that guy? Like, I've never heard of this dude, man. He
started 5 games at center and has like something like 120 snaps at center. And I love it because you're right. I didn't even do a video or anything about it because it's like people are like hyping him up like we just re-signed, like we just reincarnated Bart Oates from the '86 team and brought him in to be the center. It's like he started 5 games at center in like 4 years, but don't worry.
Yeah, it's that's shit's wild. Now, the only thing that concerns me though with Joe is his pass blocking is not superior. And I think he, with a lot of like these, like for instance, like next year we play the Rams, right? If Aaron Donald with his with his quick agility and the way he can get low, I feel that would, like the struggles that we saw Evan Ingram have this year because of how big he is at the tackle position. I can see Joe having those same issues this season at the center position. Personally, would you agree with that? Or
I agree with that. I agree with that. I agree with that 100%. And no, I didn't crap on Charles Cross. I said I didn't want Charles Cross. I crapped on Rashawn Slater. So you want to get drafts right. Make sure you get the drafts right.
People are already saying that Cross is better than Neal. It's
what's funny with Slater over in San Diego, or no, it's not San Diego, it's LA now. I said I didn't like him, and I said there was some inconsistency in this game, and I said I worry about him being injured, and I worry about the way he plays. And he had a great season, he had a great rookie year, fantastic rookie year. But let me break down things to people. Mekhi Becton, great rookie season, better than Andrew Thomas. I had to hear about that crap because I was a huge Andrew Thomas fan. I've always been since the day they drafted him. I said, just give it time. A career is not defined vis-a-vis a season. What happened to Slater in LA? This year? He got hurt. Like I said about Wan'Dale Robinson, I said I don't like the Wan'Dale Robinson pick, but I understood it a week later. But the first thing I said during the draft about Wan'Dale Robinson is if he doesn't learn to protect himself on the field, because he got pulled back from behind a bunch of times in Kentucky, he won't survive his first NFL game. And what happened?
But his injury though this year though, he didn't get pulled from behind. I don't know what happened, but it looked like he slipped on the sideline.
I'm talking about his first game. But like I say, because there is a certain way you need to, anyone that's
where he sprained his MCL, you mean?
Everyone.
Gotcha.
This is the thing about sports, and this is what I love about Twitter and I love about YouTube. It's all the professionals who never played telling me something about playing the game. I strapped it on since Pop Warner and played through college. I understand the nuances of injuries and the games and all these things. And you know what? You never get things right But don't sit there and tell me after one season someone had a fantastic career and that's their season and that defines them as a career, because then Andrew Thomas is a piece of hot steaming garbage. Yeah. Because I heard for a year and a half, almost 2 years, how much Andrew Thomas sucked. And I kept saying repeatedly, it's this. Give him time. It's this.
Shit, people weren't talking about how good Andrew Thomas was until not last year, but the year before.
Oh, and
it was a 2021.
And I love this. Don't you dare kick me out. You're blocked. Sorry. You know, because I have a new sound. We used to do the Wonka when you get. We used to have the Willy Wonka when we kick people out, and you know. But now we have a new thing. I haven't in honor of Rob coming into the co-hosting duties. I have a new sound for when you get kicked out.
Fuck you!
Great movie. Great movie.
When you get kicked out, that's what happens to you.
He's dead.
I love
Trump. He knocked himself out cold. Fuck you!
I also love.
Man, we decided to leave this place just one damn day too late.
Great movie. Great movie. You know what? And honestly, if you know,
rock rips through paper.
Melvin too.
Oh man.
Oh my god.
My wife hates that movie. She's like, it's so like fake, it's so stupid or whatever. But I don't know, like I like that movie. Like I like Tremors. There's nothing wrong with Tremors, man.
My wife hates that movie, or doesn't hate it, but she just likes it because I watch it all the time. She used to say. She goes, how can you watch the same movie over and over again? Because it's funny as shit. I said, you gotta look at it that way. You know, it's like, I mean, there's just so many classic lines in that movie, especially when they're going around and they see the guys doing the road work, you know, the road work crew, and he's like, they're cutting people's heads off, and you get out of here. And he goes around, the guy grabs the crowbar, and then the next thing you know, the other guy just gets sucked around the corner. It's like, a lot of good.
Hey, goodbye.
You gotta love Burt Gummer.
Did you like the second one where they introduced like the smaller ones?
The screechers, or not screechers,
yeah.
Screechers.
Screechers.
Yeah, you know, I didn't mind that one. I actually just watched the sixth one, Screecher Island, or whatever the hell it's called. It's the last.
I stopped watching after like the third. I stopped because then they make a TV show. They made like a TV show, I think, about it too.
They tried to make a TV show, and they set it in the Old West, and I did watch that show as well.
Of course you did. Of course you did.
I did. I watched that show well, and to people out there,
given the proper
information
so that I could come prepared.
That's why I love Burt Gummer, man.
Fucking Burt, bro.
The dad from Family Ties. I mean, how can I mean, I don't remember his name, but how can you? I mean, I just remember as Burt Gummer. If I see him on the street, I'm gonna call him Burt Gummer. I mean, because you know, it's you know, long.
I think he's from the New York area too. I think.
Long story short, what's his name? Michael Rooker. He's the guy, and he's a blue guy in Guardians of the Galaxy. He was in Days of Thunder. He's in all these. He was Merle from Walking Dead. The bald guy. He was Cole Trickle's counterpart in the Days of Thunder. He did the movie with Sylvester Stallone when they were on the mountain. He did Henry, Portrait of a Serial Killer. Big actor. He's Nobu, whatever the hell his name is in the and Guardians of the Galaxy. The guy with the thing
Gross?
on his head. What's that?
That's Michael Gross. That's his name.
No, Michael Rooker.
Michael Rooker. I want to look up his picture.
Look him up. You'll know who he is. Michael Gross is the guy from Family Ties. But it was funny though. I ran into Michael Rooker in a hotel.
Oh, I know yeah.
And I couldn't think of his name. So me, being me,
you called him by a movie character name.
I called him Henry, Portrait of a Serial Killer. Because that's one of the movies that actually made him kind of get on the map a little bit. I was like, because I couldn't think of his
Did he answer? Did he respond?
He was actually a great guy. I mean, I talked to him for like 15, 20 minutes in the lobby. He was fantastic. When I've met, a good number of famous people, and he was actually like one of the nicest guys there was. And he was doing he was doing a one of those science fiction trade shows or whatever the hell they're called, when they Comic-Con conventions or something. So because he does the Guardians of the Galaxy, so he was doing that, and he invited us, to his booth and all this stuff because I had my son with me. So anyway, like I said, he was a fantastic guy. But let's get back into Michael Gross. Let's get back. Also Michael Gross from Tremors. Yeah, we know it. We got that. Let's see. Slater reminds me of Glowinski, a systems guy. I don't think Slater's a systems guy, but I do think, like I said, you cannot define one season and make that be your career. Fred Ward is from the first two Tremors. Yep, Fred Ward is also in. Fred Ward's another one of those character actors that's been in Miami Blues, and he came to fame in the '80s at Remo Williams' The Adventure Begins, great movie, Uncommon Valories, and a lot of good movies that Fred Ward is in. But a career does not define you after one season, Rob. And I think a lot of people get on that, and a lot of people are like, well, you were wrong about this. Well, I'm not right about everything. I admit that 100%. But I also tell you, before you define someone's career, give them 3 to 4 years before you tell me that they're better than Andrew Thomas.
Yeah, that's why I hate when people are shitting on Evan Neal, and I'm not closing the door
on Evan Neal.
They're already giving up on him. It's like, and look, I said it a hot take months ago. I actually am calling that I think Evan Neal will have a better season at his position next year than Kayvon Thibodeau will at his position.
Here's the thing about Kayvon Thibodeau that bothers me a little bit. It doesn't bother me, but outside of about 4 games, which all came at the end,
it was relatively quiet. I will say, though, his pursuit, like what's the word I'm looking for? Like, he is always involved. Like him chasing down Travis Etienne in Jacksonville game, like that was huge. Like he outran some of our DBs. Like his pursuit is great. He has a motor. He doesn't give up. He doesn't quit. He keeps going. I think that he needs to be able to channel that a lot this year, and really, which he was held a lot last year. And when you're held a lot, that means you're getting a lot of pressure. But I think that he needs to definitely have a stronger year this year than he did last year to aid the pressure a little bit, like that.
More consistent. And I personally think you need to put him in as a right defensive end. Don't move him. And people are going to say, well, that's just silly, Tim. What part of his versatility is going to be where he's at? No, because there have been plenty of players that have had monster years at the right defensive end position. And I think he needs to learn a position, and he needs to understand that it's not just about rushing the passer, because yes, there's plenty of times that he made nice plays, but there are also times that he got toasted at that right end position vis-a-vis the run, because the fact that he does not
happen on Sunday Night Football against the Redskins, where he over pursued.
That's where I'm going
and missed the pitch. It was a read option. He came up, and the other thing too is that we're going to mention it, but Aziz needs to stay healthy and be opposite of him as well, because he was better when Aziz was on the field, and because when Jihad was on there, it was more attention on Kayvon because Jihad was on there. But when Aziz was there, Kayvon was getting a more one-on-one, and if they tried to double team Kayvon, then Aziz was getting pressure, which is why I think they definitely need to get another edge rusher in this draft. They need to try to get another edge rusher in this draft, or if they can bring in a guy that's a free agent to be a nice rotational piece. They let O'Shane go. He's not coming back. I don't think Timon Fox is going to be that type of a guy, right? So it's, they need to get another edge rusher to get a good rotation going there.
I agree. And like I said, I think he needs to man a position and stay there and learn the role, because of the fact that I think, yes, versatility is a good thing. I like the fact that, he can play with his hand not in the dirt. He can play from a stand-up position. But my thing is this. I think he is going to be more valuable to this team if he's in like an Osi Umenyiora position. If he's learning how to play Osi Umenyiora, Justin Tuck, one of the most valuable parts of their game was the fact that they understood their assignment, they held the edge, and they forced the running game back into the middle of the field, where we had like Fred Cofield and the big hog mollies, and basically had people like Antonio Pierce come in and mop up in that middle linebacker position, sort of like we had with Blake Martinez. And I think he's going to be worth more to the Giants if he's a full player. If he's not just a pass rusher, if he is a guy like an Osi Umenyiora, if he's a guy like a Justin Tuck, if he's a guy, people always forget about Michael Strahan. People always forget the 20-something sacks Michael Strahan had, or 22 sacks, 22 and a half, but they never remember Michael Strahan from the first day he came into the Giants was
a dominant force.
A run was a dominant run defender before he became that dominant pass rusher.
And I think that's what aided him to be a good pass rusher was how dominant he was against the run and how physical he played. They even were lining up Kayvon at middle linebacker last year at times.
Exactly.
They were it almost looked like Wink was trying to use him like the Cowboys were using Micah Parsons. And they're not the same caliber of athlete. They're not the same player. Agree with you. Now, let me ask you this. Do you think having Bobby Okereke will aid that in a way? Now you've got a linebacker that can go sideline to sideline and play the edge, where maybe last year I think that Jalen and the linebackers that we had, I'm not going to hold anything against Micah McFadden. He's a rookie, but it was hard for the linebackers to play that edge, the middle guys, where I felt like there was a lot more pressure on the defensive ends, like the Jihad Wards, like the Kayvon Thibodeaux, and when Aziz was there, because you don't have that linebacker that's getting out there on the flow. They were getting caught up in the wash a lot. Do you see that aiding at all, helping?
No. Bobby's an off-the-ball linebacker who is going to play in the middle. He is going to take over the Blake Martinez role. He is good sideline to sideline, but we need to keep him, because the goal should be with Leonard. You're paying Leonard Williams, and you're going to pay Dexter Lawrence an exorbitant amount of money. The role should be on this team to force the run to the middle of the field. That should be the role, because honestly, between Bobby, Dexter, and Leonard, those are going to be your big guys. Those are going to be your, not only in salary, but they should be your talent. That would be the strength
whoever they draft,
and whomever they draft. To me, you still need a speed outside linebacker who you can pair on the other side with Kayvon Thibodeaux and have that where they learn together in a symbiotic relationship how to play the run, how to maintain.
Hakuna Matata.
Matata means no worries because we got Kayvon Thibodeaux. But you put them there, they learn together and understand not only the nuances of maintaining their assignments and holding the edge, but having the ability to move the play into the middle of the field. And honestly, listen, if they figure out they can't run to the outside teams, that is going to open up the pass rushing lanes for Kayvon Thibodeaux.
100%.
But the problem is he can't. To your point, we've talked about it before, he can't overcommit. What happens with Daniel Jones against Philadelphia? Daniel Jones always has huge runs against Philadelphia. Why? Because Philadelphia's defense has always been over aggressive. And when they overcommit, that opens the middle of the field up for Daniel Jones to step up into the pocket and see green pastures.
Where Dallas is more controlled at the line of scrimmage.
Dallas is more
everything inside.
Forcing everything inside to their strength in the middle with their middle linebackers and play that way. And you also have Parsons on the outside who is maintaining his assignment and moving. Like I said, I love Parsons. To me, yes, everyone talks about his pass rushing ability, but if you watch Dallas play,
the way he plays, man.
He plays, and yes, he kind of sometimes gets off his assignment, but majority of the time he plays extremely disciplined in reference to what his assignments are, in reference to holding the edge on the outside against a run, which moves the play into the side, which moves the play inside, which then in turns allows him to create a pass rushing lane when it's time to rush the passer because the play is moving to the inside of the field.
Correct. Yep. Good call.
I mean that's what we got. What do we got here? Are you trading? How back trade? Are we comfortable? How far back are you comfortable trading back? How far back am I comfortable trading back? I don't want to go below. I don't want to go below 40 because I do think, like I said, think
if we trade out of 25,
if we trade out of 25,
I don't want to go past the middle of the second round.
Yeah, that's what I said. I wouldn't go below 40.
Yeah.
I would want, but if I'm going,
if I'm trading out there, I would want a top second round pick.
If I'm trading, but here's the thing: if I'm trading to like 40, let's say, I want a 4th rounder as well.
Yeah, correct. Like if you're going to give me like 30, 33 or 34, I would want like that and that like maybe a 5th.
I'm not going to give up my 1st round pick unless I get a 2nd round pick and something no below 5th for the 5th round.
Correct. Yeah. That's 100%.
We got JC Talks movies with Leo and Jax in the final years of their deals. Who do you think Joe will prioritize, corner or defensive end over center? I still think they're going to go corner in the draft. I like Cam Smith. I think he is a guy that they should go through. I got the 2-minute warning here, which means the wife is telling me we got stuff to do. That's what she said. Hold on for the wife.
That's what she said.
Oh my God. I just love it.
I agree. Cam Smith definitely wanted to go. Cam Smith.
I love it because my wife always gets mad at me when I read her text messages online, but this one's funny. And she writes, this is what she types to me. Hey, how long are you going? That's what she said. It's 12 inches.
That's what she said.
On that note, and the fact that I'm losing my voice, I think we're going to wrap up today's show. It's been an hour and a half. We usually like to go an hour.
That's what she said.
As always, Rob coming in here, dropping some vital logic for the New York Football Giants. Did you ever decide if you're going to be working with us on the draft show?
I'm waiting for this schedule to come out to see what I have scheduled with work. If I can get out like an hour early or something like that to do it, I'll probably let you know. I think it's Thursday. I'll probably let you know by like Tuesday, Wednesday for sure.
All right.
Because I'm doing it.
I'm going to be at the draft. So the Dahmer from the UK.
Welcome to the draft, baby. Yeah.
Will be taking over the draft for me. He'll be running the draft show while I'll be calling in from the MetLife, or I'll still refer to it as Giant Stadium. So that'll be fun. So we're just trying to get as many people as humanly possible because everyone knows that Dahmer is the show killer. So we want to make sure we have some other personalities on the show, so make sure our numbers don't tank too bad. And everyone knows I love the Dahmer. So let me know when you can. We're gonna probably next Sunday is gonna be the draft show because that will be that'll be the last Sunday leading up to the draft. And we're going to talk just strictly the draft and just, Robin Williams, Good Morning Vietnam. That's a good movie too. I like Robin Williams in that movie.
Yeah, Robin Williams, may he rest in peace.
R.I.P. Robin Williams.
If it's an iron, dead fire, dear.
Robin Williams was one of those actors you either loved him, you either hated him. But in Good Morning Vietnam, he was going back old school, Moscow on the Hudson for Robin Williams when he played a Russian defector. That was one of his very first movie roles. So I always tell people you need to go and watch that movie and the movie Survivors with him and Walter Matthau. Hi, wife.
Wife in the background.
I see you in the back. Hi. That's another good movie with Walter Matthau. The Survivors. That's another good movie. We got Chris from MMC. Nice to meet you, Rob. Rob's here every Sunday. Why don't you help your wife with that box, man?
It's a light box.
She's pregnant.
I know.
And you're not helping her with the
box. I didn't want you to think I was being bored.
You're not helping her with the box.
It's a very, very light. It's super, super light box.
That's what she said. Wait a minute before you know what I am actually more stunned that you let your pregnant wife carry a box. And I'm only vamping for a very specific reason. So just to keep talking there for a minute here. So, no, she's gone now. Or now you got to close it. Now he's going to close the door. Thank you.
Close the door.
Thank you. Because you want to know why, Rob? You want to know why?
What's in the box? What's in the fucking box?
That's what we all want to know here. What's in the box?
I can say what's in the box. It's a song joke. You probably know what I'm.
Yeah.
Never mind. I'll tell you later.
You don't need to tell me later. All right, guys, we are out of here. Rob is going to be in trouble now, says the Zach Attack. Can't wait for Christmas MMA. Enjoy the Sunday, family. Can't wait for Football Sunday next week. It's going to be a lot of fun. And we're going to close this out. Losing my voice, but you know what? It's Rob. It's Tim. It's the Sunday Giant Show. Appreciate everyone for tuning in, and we're out of here.